The first thing I noticed about the Velshi was the smell. Not theirs, they were scentless, or close to it. Big translucent gas bladders drifting at shoulder height, trailing thin manipulator tendrils, their outer membranes shimmering with something like oil on water. No, the smell was mine. Or rather, it was the galley's. And from the way their membranes contracted when they floated through the door, the Velshi noticed it too. I was braising short ribs for the Concord maintenance crew, and I had onion stock reducing on the back burner. It's a comforting smell if you're human. Apparently it's an atrocity if you're Velshi. 12 of them came through. Transit delegation, 3-day stopover, en route to something political I didn't ask about. Their delegation chief was a bladder roughly the size of a cargo pallet, wider than the others, with a faint violet tint that I'd later learn meant seniority, and it drifted to the center of my galley with the unhurried confidence of something that had never once been told no. "This is the nutritional facility?" the chief said. The translator gave its voice a smooth, even tone, which made the disbelief land harder. "Galley?" I said. "Mess hall, canteen, whatever you like." I didn't stop chopping. I had 46 species rotating through the galley in any given cycle, and the Velshi weren't the first to find the concept distasteful. The Haru had once compared it to a surgical theater. The Fendok had asked, with genuine concern, whether humans cooked their enemies. You develop a rhythm. You keep your hands moving. Sooner or later they either sit down or leave. The chief's tendrils extended toward the nearest burner, not touching, just measuring the heat from a careful distance. You apply direct thermal energy to biological compounds. I do. Deliberately. Every day. One of the junior Velshi, smaller, a pale blue membrane with a faint greenish shimmer, drifted closer to the prep counter, where I had garlic skins piled beside a bowl of diced root vegetables. Its membrane rippled in a pattern I'd learned from the station's xenobiology briefs to read as something close to second-hand embarrassment. "This is cultural?" it asked. "It's lunch," I said. The chief withdrew its tendrils. On the Velshi homeworld, nutritional synthesis has been fully automated for 11 centuries. Our molecular dispensers assemble nutrient compounds at the atomic level. No thermal degradation, no contamination, no residue. A pause. The translator rendered it faithfully. "We do not burn things and consume them." "Noted," I said, and scraped the garlic skins into the compost bin. That seemed to end the tour. The delegation drifted out, and I heard them in the corridor. The translator was still keyed to the galley's audio band, as the nutritional officer explained to the juniors that relay stations in the outer Concord were known for infrastructural lag. The human galley, it said, was a legacy holdover from an era before molecular synthesis was widely available. The juniors made a sound the translator rendered as polite agreement. I turned the stock down to a simmer, wiped the counter, started prepping for the second shift rotation. 3 Haru who liked their silicate cakes cut thin, a Fendok engineering pair who were particular about enzyme broth temperature, and 2 human maintenance leads who would eat anything I put in front of them as long as there was bread. I'd had the Velshi transit filing for 2 days. Their metabolic profiles came attached to the docking manifest, the way everyone's did. Osmotic absorption, pH-neutral nutrient matrices, dissolved mineral suspensions with a viscosity tolerance of 0.3 centipoise either side of their baseline. Their homeworld water chemistry was in the file. So was the altitude and gas pressure data for their native buoyancy range. I'd already worked out 3 compatible recipes and batch tested 2 of them against the station's water supply the previous evening. But nobody had asked me about any of that. Nobody ever does. By mid-morning of day 2, the news reached me the way station news always does. Through the maintenance crew, who eat breakfast at 0620 and know everything before anyone else on Terrath 6 has finished their first cup of whatever they drink. "Velshi dispensers are down," said Tomas, my second shift regular, pulling apart a bread roll. "Their nutritional officer's been running recalibration cycles since last night. Can't get the output to stabilize. Something about the water." I poured him more coffee and nodded. Station waters got a higher magnesium count than their dispensers are rated for. He pointed the bread roll at me. You already knew that. I read manifests. You read manifests. He said it flat, the way Tomas says everything, and went back to his bread. By noon, the Velshi nutritional officer appeared in the galley doorway. Its membrane was paler than it had been the day before. Stress, I suspected, or low glucose equivalent. It didn't drift in with the easy confidence the chief had shown. It hovered at the threshold like something waiting to be invited. The station's mineral balance has rendered our dispensers temporarily non-compliant, it said. The translator gave it a stiff, formal register. We are exploring alternatives. I was plating a Fendoc lunch, cold enzyme broth, alkaline grain cakes, a side of crystallized silicate that they like to crunch between their rear molars. It looked terrible to a human eye. The Fendoc loved it. I have your metabolic profiles, I said. The nutritional officer's tendrils went still. You have. They came with the docking manifest, osmotic absorption, pH-neutral matrices, dissolved mineral suspension at 1.7 centipoise baseline. The station water sits at 2.1 because of the magnesium sulfate content, which is why your dispensers are rejecting the input stream. They can't compensate past their rated tolerance. The officer didn't speak for a moment. Its membrane did something I hadn't seen from a Velshi before. A slow, even pulse, almost mechanical, like a system resetting itself. You have a solution, it said, not a question. I have 3. I reached under the prep counter and pulled out a sealed canister, glass, labeled in my handwriting with the delegation chief's filing code. This one's the best match. Osmotically balanced, mineral content adjusted for your homeworld baseline, viscosity corrected to 1.7. I used the station's reverse osmosis line and filtered the magnesium out by hand. The suspension is stable for 72 hours at ambient temperature. The nutritional officer took the canister in 3 tendrils. It held it up to the galley's overhead light, and I watched the liquid inside catch the glow. Clear, faintly opalescent, exactly the color of clean Velshi nutrient solution. I'd checked it against the docking file's reference spectrum that morning. This was prepared by hand, it said. Everything in here is. With thermal equipment. With a stove, a filter, a conductivity meter, and about 40 minutes. I pulled out 11 more canisters from the shelf beneath the counter. Individual profiles. Your chief runs slightly alkaline. I adjusted by half a point. 2 of your juniors have a narrower sulfate tolerance than the group baseline, so those are flagged in green. The nutritional officer looked at the 12 canisters. Then it looked at the galley around them. The burners, the prep counter, the compost bin, the hand-labeled jars of compound and spice lining the back wall, the chalkboard where I tracked 46 species dietary rotations in 3 colors of chalk. You prepared this before we arrived, it said. I prepare for everyone before they arrive. Your species 46. Its membrane pulsed twice, slowly, evenly. It gathered the canisters one by one, arranging them carefully in its tendrils, and left without another word. At dinner, the Velshi ate in the galley, all 12 of them. They didn't use a table. They drifted near the ceiling in a loose cluster, canisters cradled in their tendrils, their membranes doing that slow, rhythmic pulse I was starting to read as something close to contentment. The pale blue junior who had asked whether cooking was cultural had positioned itself directly above the prep counter, watching me dice vegetables for the next day's Haru rotation. It didn't say anything. It just watched. Below them, the Haru crunched silicate cakes. The Fendoc picked at enzyme broth. 2 human maintenance leads argued about a latch coupling over bread and short ribs. The delegation chief drifted down to counter height. Its violet tint was deeper than before. Well fed, I guessed. Your dispensers should clear by tomorrow morning, I said. The magnesium will flush if you run the calibration sequence twice. We are aware, the chief said. It paused, and the translator held the silence. We would prefer to continue eating here. Galley opens at 0600. Dinner service ends at 2100. We will be here at 0600. I nodded and went back to wiping down the prep counter. Behind me, Tomas caught my eye from across the mess hall. He raised his bread roll a fraction of an inch, the smallest possible toast. The Velshi filed a transit report when they departed on day 4. I know because Tomas told me, and Tomas knows everything. Under the section for station infrastructure assessment, the nutritional officer had entered a single annotation beside the dietary support rating. Adequate. In 11 centuries of Velshi automated nutritional science, I was told later, no relay station galley had ever received that word. I didn't read the report. I had the next manifest to prep for, a Drethkai party of 9, arriving Thursday. Calciumite metabolizers, cold-served compounds, strong aversion to anything above room temperature. I put a new line on the chalkboard and started Thursday's list.